All right, so I think this one was our next favorite. The hem, yes, there are more hems on his garment. That's the 7th of March that he did that one. You want to talk about that?
Oh, definitely.
Wanna?
All right, so for this one, and like I said, with all of his sermons, right? When he starts, you're like, okay, and we're listening.
All right, so when he started with this one, I knew where he was going to mention her.
But I didn't know.
All of them. So
exactly.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was going to start from the healing perspective. Right. So you mentioned that, of course, we know the centurion.
Right.
Right, and also it was it Jairus?
Yes.
So Jairus being in the synagogue, yes, was basically, as he said, equivalent to
elder.
A first elder, yes, an elder. And of course, Jairus' daughter was sick and needed to be healed. She was sick unto death.
Right.
Right, and he was basically saying, God, I need the healing for my daughter.
Yes.
And you need to come to my house.
Yes.
He was telling God.
He met Jesus and said, my daughter need healing. Come on my yard and lay hands on her. That's how you're going to heal her.
So he was dictating to Jesus that this is how you're going to do it.
Yeah.
All right. Versus the centurion, which his name was not mentioned, right? And his servant.
No, first of all, he sent church people to Jesus to say, a servant I have, which is good to me, is sick. Come. Then he sent his close friends, and then he went. So he's like appeasing Jesus. He understood that he's not worthy to be in the... But Jairus feel like me worthy.
Coming in a church. I'm a member of the church. So I ask for healing, so God, you need to do what you need.
And that way you're going to do it.
And so you're going to do it.
Yeah.
You understand, versus the centurion, he was humble to say, Lord, I'm not worthy.
For you to come into my house. Stay right here, so. Say the word, and my daughter will be healed.
And that's I think another point was the fact that it was his faith.
Yeah.
It was his faith
that healed the servant.
Healed the servant. And he made the point that our faith, do we have the faith? So when we're praying for somebody, praying for healing, do we actually believe? Do we believe that they're going to get the healing?
That's the truth.
We're just being...
We just pray because of protocol. Yeah, it's protocol. It's what we do when somebody's sick in the church.
Exactly, we just pray.
Yeah, so he was just showing that church people's faith differ from the worldly persons. Exactly. Because the worldly person was like, listen, don't come to my house, just say it. Because I know you have sickness under your command. If you say sickness need to go, sickness go.
Because I have my soldiers under command.
Right. So he understood that Jesus on earth had authority. Church people didn't believe that.
Didn't believe.
It's just because Jairus' daughter was sick why Jairus came. Because Jairus know him a heal people. People are get healing. That's why I'm come.
He was not going to come to Jesus in public.
Right. Otherwise, it's just because the daughter's sick. Yeah. And then the woman, I loved how he brought out the woman. Something that I never looked at before was, okay, this is another worldly person, so to speak. Not somebody, because for 12 years she not go to church,
Exactly.
Because she's unclean, she's not supposed to touch nobody, she's not supposed to be around nobody. He went into all of that when you see a period, in those days you're seen as unclean and all of that. Anything you sit on, anything you touch. And then he pointed out the fact that she said, I don't need him to see me. I don't need him to touch me. I just need to touch a piece. And he pointed out how she fought in the crowd. And then Jesus said, virtue left my body. But this was a powerful part for me. Peter, boy, sometimes I can tell you, I did me. Peter, my brother. I know. Peter said, but the people in there are push on you. You're joking, brother. What you mean? Say somebody. But what O'Conner brought out was this. Church people were there bouncing on Jesus, and none of them drew power from him.
Yeah, that part I was like,
I get goosebumps. None of them drew power from him. So we can be at church and you praise God and you sing, what a mighty God we serve and all of that, and you are not getting any power.
Exactly.
Because of no faith.
Exactly.
Because of no faith.
He mentioned that not even the disciples.
Yes, we're getting power from Jesus.
And they were there bouncing up and down. But before we go into that, for the centurion, right? So even though the Jairus would have heard about Jesus, religious circle and all of that, for the centurion, he heard about Jesus.
Yes.
He was not a member of the church.
Right.
He heard about Jesus.
Right.
Which it comes to an important point. Are we talking about Jesus?
Because he's not of the church. So somebody from the church would have did.
From the church. So if we are not...
Or somebody who has been healed or whatever. So a lot of us getting blessings from Jesus. Are we talking about Jesus so others can come and get theirs too?
Exactly.
It's true.
So he heard about Jesus, and how is somebody's going... How are they going to hear about Jesus if we're not talking about him?
Amen.
You understand?
Very
so
good. We have to spread the word.
We get our healing, we get our blessings, and we keep it to ourselves and allow the testimonies to go stale.
Yes.
And we don't tell people to encourage them.
True. That's a very good point. I never thought about that. Thank you. Thank you for that one. Yeah, I think that's it. He was really... He even spoke about the blind man by Bartimaeus.
Yeah.
Jesus was passing. And he said, Jesus! And the people said, man. And he said, him shout out louder, Jesus! When people are shut you up, open your mouth and talk. Okay?
Yeah. And the public... why Jesus addressed her publicly.
Yes. Go on, talk about it. I was going to go to that. Talk about it.
All right. So we know that she touched Jesus from behind.
Right.
Jesus.
She touched Jesus. She go about her business. I know I'm dry up. I'm good to go. I'm gone.
Because as far as she knows, and as the custom is, she's not even supposed to be in that crowd.
Thank you.
What is she doing there? She's unclean.
Right. But this is good to note. When Jesus healed the blind man, him say, "No tell nobody."
No tell nobody.
When even he usually say, "No tell nobody." Exactly. Even the leper, him say, "Don't tell nobody. Just go to the priest and show them."
Exactly.
Right. But he said, he stopped. Who touched me? He wanted to be publicly known. And Pastor O'Conner, bro, I never thought about it. He showed the fact that the reason Jesus did this was, if she with the issue of blood, everybody knows she have the issue.
12 long years.
Come now and say, I'm healed. She now go show her privates and show
Exactly, the nature of it,
she can't prove it. But because Jesus, who are healed, say, you touch me and you are healed, and she bowed down. Everybody see, this is
public expression.
Crowd draw. There's no way. If it was in our time, we'd on TikTok, Facebook, everywhere. You understand? Exactly. So crowd was there. Everybody can say, yes, she was healed. You know what I mean? If I can imagine if her skin was pale and whatever, because she bleeding, right? No. She rosy now.
Because as he was saying, of course, she was anemic. Losing so much blood. And then the good thing about it, he said, and I'm sure this would have brought her spirits up.
Yes.
Daughter.
Yes.
Imagine Jesus.
Certain woman versus daughter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because... as he mentioned, there's no name mentioned for her.
Nobody.
She's nobody. Yes. She don't have anybody.
Right.
Basically.
Right.
You understand? So
right.
Jesus look at her and said, daughter, be of good courage.
Yep.
Your faith
has made you whole. Very good. Yeah. That was a good one.
Yeah.
And then the spicy one now. Listen, if you follow me, we're not going to chat about them. But the spicy one is Before I Say I Do Part 1. So Adam and Eve, listen, after this one, what do you have? Me call you? Or we saw each other and we kept talking about it. We couldn't stop talking about it. So Adam and Eve, right? Basically, it was talking about they hid from God, and the reason they hid from God was because they sinned. And something I love that he said is, even now we still hide from God when we sin. So you have people who we sin and then we don't want to go to church. And then the opposite is true, where you sin, so me say, what you do after what you do. You know? So it goes both ways. We should not hinder people from coming to the Lord, please. Yeah. And we shouldn't hinder ourselves either. Tell the devil, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. I'm going to go to the house of the Lord. Say, if you even want to go on next branch for the people them don't know your business, sure, but don't stop coming. So he was saying, from creation we have that thing that we're hiding.
Exactly.
Right?
That's it.
And yeah, what I love was when he said sorrow and pain meets thorns and thistles. Right? So when the woman sinned, it said that she'd have sorrow and pain. And then it said she'd have a desire for her husband, and then it said that her husband would rule over her. So the woman get 4 things.
Yeah.
But I could go in at the desire part, because I know you can talk about that. Go on. Tell them about why. So when you said the desire, I never understood. I just passed over it too. I never really got what that was saying. You get me? Talk on that. Why can't this no one talk? Trying to make me be the chatterbox now.
But before, he mentioned that when God came, and we all know this, he called Adam.
Not Eve.
Not Eve.
Because he has put the man in charge of the family.
The man in charge.
Yeah.
And not saying that the woman won't be accountable or responsible for anything. Right. But the priest of the home, he called Adam and not Eve.
Very, very good point. So the desirable part, right? The desirable part. And thorns and thistles, we say it's sorrow and pain meets thorns and thistles. Thorns and thistles is the curse that man got, is that the earth would bring thorns and thistles, and by the sweat of your brow you will eat bread. So the desirable part, when you go into Hebrew, which is the original language that portion of the Bible was written in, right, you realize that the root word, he said shook. So when you look into it, that's the root word. Now shook means insatiable desire, an insatiable longing for, a yearning for, to be beside your partner. And I'm like, a whole heap of light bulbs start go off, and I'm like, no, man, say, this is why when women reach a certain age, they're like, I want a husband. I want a husband. There are a lot of men. My husband, when we were before we started talking, he wasn't looking no girlfriend. There are a lot of men I see, even though they don't have that desire, and I'm wondering why. And I get it. I have friends who are the same age as me. I am 35 this year, and they don't have the desire. Men, I'm talking. But every woman that's my age and not dating, they have the desire to date. Even younger than me, of course, in their 20s, you have the desire to date. So I'm like, wow, God put that desire within us to yearn after the man.
I think for that one.
To get a husband. And then him say, we're shook.
We're shook.
Yeah.
I think everybody
was like, whoa.
Exactly.
And then what the next part was, basically, he was making a joke to say that is why the woman said, you know, spend time with me, you know, sit down beside me in a church, why you not come with me and play domino or you out with your friends or whatever. And he's like, men don't do that. Because they don't, God didn't put that in desire. Them. So that was very eye-opening for me. That was very, very eye-opening for me. And he's like, if a woman don't have the shook, problems.
You mentioned that. With the thorns and the thistles as well. You were saying that, how do we expect marriage to be smooth sailing? It's not going to be smooth sailing. Yes, we have that desire to find a partner, but we couldn't explain it. I've never heard it like that before.
Straight up.
He just went to the point.
Never.
And yeah, definitely. I always say that marriage is not for the faint of heart.
No.
It's not.
And he even linked back the sorrow with the root word of the same sorrows in Matthew 24, where he was saying the woman having birth pains, the sorrows is the same word in Matthew 24. I'm like, oh, wow. The other one is coming home with a limp. I don't know if you get to watch that one day.
I didn't watch that one either.
So coming home with a limp was basically, oh wait, what that sound like? Let me see if you know which Bible story that. Coming home with a limp. Who was limping in the Bible?
No, I can't.
Him hip did lick out.
What was that?
Him wrestled with the angel and him hip.
Oh, why am I not thinking about Jacob?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the one we were talking about.
So coming home with a limp, he was basically, some pointers that I got was that Jacob betrayed his brother, yes, but after Jacob betrayed his brother, he left to go to his uncle Laban. That's where his mom sent him. And when he left to go to his uncle Laban, literally, the Lord met him and blessed him and said, this land you are at, I'll give it to you. Him never say, look how worthless boy, look how may have blessings for you. And I tell your mother, say, when you're in the womb, this is gonna when you were in the womb, I told your mother this and you made this happen and now you're cursed. No, he said God didn't do all of that because Jacob knew what he did and he was already so repentant and sorry about it.
He was remorseful about it.
Right. So God never felt the need to wipe it in his face and all of that. Yeah. So that was something that as Christians try not to wipe what people do in their faces, you know. And he was also talking about when he was serving God, and when he went to his uncle Laban, he was suffering under him. And that says that as a Christian, life is not going to be easy.
It's not gonna be easy.
It doesn't mean there's not going to be suffering. Some of us, we feel like, oh, you must sow seeds. There are some churches you may go that might say you must sow a seed and your life will be good, or,
Prosperity.
you know, prosperity message, no. Rich levity or whatever. Prosperity message, no.
But the Bible tells us that when we get baptized, we're baptizing into, what does it say? We're baptizing basically into the resurrection.
Right.
So we're gonna get struggles.
You basically get what you're saying. So like it's
Right.
our crucifixion.
It's our crucifixion.
Yeah.
We're literally, Christ died for us.
Yes.
So we are literally sharing some of that, the suffering that he went through. And
Yes.
remember, he basically paid it all.
Yes.
For us.
Yes.
But still, because the enemy,
Right.
right, he's fighting against us because he doesn't want us to make it.
No, that's true.
Right? So it's not going to be easy, and I think that's where the prosperity gospel
Yes. Fails.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're telling them, oh, come, everything will be fine, just sow a seed and you'll be good.
That's true. Right. And that God, what I love is that God sees all the evil that people do to you, your boss, everybody, so you can hold fast that vengeance is mine, and he will sort it out. You know. And the next one, no, that was the last one. That was Sabbath, right? That was Sabbath of the first week, so that was the end of the first week. And just basically that even though, I love this one that I got, even though Laban was unfair to Jacob, Jacob was faithful. So your boss will treat you bad, you're not going to thief a pack of staples and carry go your yard. You're not going to thief a pack of papers. You are always going to be upright, so God can stand up for you and go to Laban, your boss, or whoever in the dream and say, listen, do my servant no harm. Be guiltless, even when you are under suffering. Yeah. That was really profound to me. So yeah, I think that's where the first week wraps up. And leave your comments below about what spoke to you in the sermons for the first week. And then you'll see us next time with a video for the second week.